Hi, this is Head and Shoulders ATR, where we cover athletes' performances and otherwise that are head and shoulders above the rest. And today, you see the title of this. We're going to talk about how the USA track and field team was set up. And this is what I think happened. I believe they were set up for failure. And one of the reasons is it makes a bigger headline. I'm just going to say that straight out from the beginning. It makes a bigger headline to have the United States, huge nation, 300 million plus people that produces athletes year after year after year, and sometimes have athletes from other countries represent the United States as a land of immigrants, right? To fail at the international stage. Sure, the USA still kept its medal count. China got a lot closer than they normally would. They actually had a chance of overtaking the USA. That's how crazy it had gotten this time. Now, before I get into today's topic, don't forget to subscribe because we are going to get down to it. Now, here are the different elements. Before I get into even the main meat of the argument, we got to give some background here because there were some athletes that actually didn't get set up for failure, not too much. And some of it did affect them. Yes, it affected all of the athletes. Now, it affected their bodies in different ways, right? Here's Randolph Ross, for example. He underestimated his crowd. It's kind of like Sharika Jackson for Jamaica. If you all, for the people that aren't like fans of Jamaican athletes, right? She went in the 200. She took it as easy as possible in round one. And then she only looked to her left, which nobody was on the inside. She was in lane 2 or something like that. She looked at the time, and there were athletes that beat her and knocked her out of the first round. That was embarrassing. Randolph Ross did something similar where he was taking it very easy, maybe because his body was feeling a certain way, right? And then he winded up running it a little bit too hard and got nipped before he could make it to the next round. Then we have another athlete here. Let's cover these athletes before we get into the part where this was done to them on accident or on purpose. We got Shakiri Richardson. People that love to hate her. No matter what I say in my comments or on my videos, people say the complete opposite. This is actually a good sign for the sport of track and field because track and field is boring. I'm going to cover a video after that. Not boring because the races are boring, boring because the lead up is boring. People that don't have personality. There's a reason why track and field was more popular in the 80s and sometime in the 90s than it is now because people are bland. They don't have anything going for them. And she is bringing in drama. That is good if we can have more. You know who else brought in some drama? Usain Bolt. He brought in eyes. He brought in popularity. He brought in a new era, kind of like Michael Jordan did for basketball. Yes, it was getting a little bit more popular right before him after it was just not popular at all, right? And then he brought in his personality, his mentality, his work ethic, his arrogance, his ego and everything like that. And it showed. And then you know what happened? Right after that, the big contracts. He opened the door for huge contracts. Usain Bolt opened the door for public, number one, public and huge contracts because before that, it was like, hush, hush. Bikey wanted to keep all their athletes. No, you're not going to discuss this. Other companies, Laditas. You notice I'm not saying their names on purpose. They ain't sponsoring this, so I'm not saying their name. So unless it's by accident. So Laditas, Bikey, they're like, yo, shh, don't tell them how much you're making. Then Luma, they decided, hey, we gonna give them a big sponsorship for Usain Bolt, and this is how much we paying them. Now other athletes can do it. Now let's move on. Then we have here's one more athlete right here that I'm covering, and then we get into it. Oh, two more actually. Grant Holloway. He admitted that nerves affected him because he was so far in front of everybody else as far as on paper, especially after McLeod was out. Like he was so far ahead of everybody else. It looked like he could have just ran slightly more than a jog and still beat everybody. But the problem here is he said his nerves got to him. And that's unfortunate. He was the overwhelming favorite and he underperformed. Underperforming is more than just nerves getting to you. You can get injured, which causes you to underperform. Underperform means you perform below expectations. So in the men's 100, we definitely had some people that underperformed there, but we got an athlete that, in my opinion, overperformed, and he capitalized on the moment. I actually want to congratulate Fred Curley, like I did on the previous video right here. a 400 runner that moved down to the 100. And in my opinion, I think he moved in that when he saw an opportunity. And in this way, I think he could have won. He eased up. It was kind of clear that he eased up. He couldn't look on the outside lane and the inside lane at the same time. And what he did was he focused on DeGrasse. He thought that was his biggest competitor. So therefore, he looked in that direction. He made sure he was in front of DeGrasse. And look, he got second, unfortunately. And I think that, in my opinion, he could have won. Yeah, I think that's pretty clear. In my opinion, he could have won. I give him a congratulations because he really stepped up to the plate when we had our other athletes not do as well, right? Now, here's something right here. Now I'm getting into the meat of the topic here. How come y'all set up these grown adults, these professionals, that their livelihood is dependent on this? You set them up for failure, USA staff. Come on. Really, y'all set them up for failure. Now, why in the world did they only have, 1 or 2 days to practice for their baton exchanges? Yes, the Jamaican women also didn't really have too much of a baton exchange. They chose to do safe exchanges. So in some way, the USA men, hey, they were in the same boat on the Jamaican women's side. So y'all got a little bit of blame. I'm going to give them 10, 20% max of blame, okay? Because y'all could have done safer exchanges. Yes, that's true. Safe exchanges, get the baton around, and then you got to worry about how you're going to do it in the final. Because USA, the men's team, has so many athletes that are just way and above and faster than everybody else that they could have dropped a couple hundredths of a second on their exchanges and still had a chance to win. Now, I do give them a little bit of blame. We can't absolve and just say blame this, blame that. But you also got to perform with adversity. That's true as well. But here's the main thing. How the flip is the USA staff can't get together these athletes in the United States before they leave to get them to do baton exchanges. What? Y'all couldn't have got them? Okay, I understand. Y'all got there with the latest possible time as possible, right? You got in Japan the latest date that you could. You wanted to save money in your pockets, I believe. That's my speculation there. There's no proof of that, right? That's just me from seeing what I saw with USATF and the conversations I've had with certain individuals and my head speculation here, all right? So don't hold me to that one. But in my opinion, it looked like, 1, they wanted to save money. 2, somebody decided, you know what? We don't really need to go there. We can do this. And then 3, it's a comeback story for Oregon. All right. What better way to make the great mighty Goliath, USA track and field, failed to make a comeback story in Oregon? Number one, I'm sure they see what you and I see. People in the comment section saying, well, USA athletes, they can't perform outside of the United States. And then they wanted to guarantee that this year, right? So that they could come back to Oregon. See, I told y'all. See, in Tokyo, all these same athletes, they failed. They didn't do anything. Norman didn't do anything. This athlete didn't do anything. This person didn't do anything. They just failed. No, sir. No, ma'am. That's not what happened. If you don't have proper context, you don't know what's there. Now, why would they want them to fail? Let's stick to the comeback story. We're going to come back to the comeback story in a second. But first, why couldn't they get them to here? High school coaches are looking at you. I see high school, middle school, doing some freaking exchanges, and they got them practicing, even with their bad exchanges for these middle schoolers. Some of these middle schoolers, man, I swear, what are y'all doing? But y'all could have gave them 4x4 exchanges in the 4x1. Now, that was pretty fast. You probably potentially risk tripping up, but you could have gave them 4x4 exchanges and be like, all right, let's practice these. Made them look kind of goofy doing 4x4 exchanges in a 4x1, and then they still would have got the baton around. But y'all couldn't do 2 weeks in advance. Y'all had the staff, the roster already. So what were you all waiting for? You couldn't have had them practice on the exchange zones are the same, right? They still got the market. The markets might have been a little different. That's all you got to do at that point is adjust. So I can't get that one. Now, let's move on to the next thing, right? Let's move on to the next thing. We're going to see. All right. I don't know what's. Oh, here we go. So Michael Norman, in my opinion, I mean, he did the best he could. He didn't break 44 this season. He tried to muster something out of himself by going out very hard, and it failed. It was like, hey, if I go out my normal race, I'm not going to do it, and if I go out harder, I may as well risk doing something different in order to try to do something, right? And I commend him for that. I at least commend Norman for that. But one thing I will say, would he have done better had he got a little bit more rest ahead of time? And the reason I'm saying this is, do you think the USA team was suffering from jet lag because Team USA decided, let me just go there last possible moment. Let's not let them acclimate or anything, which will hurt the marathon runners like Galen Rupp and others. Yes, we got a surprise bronze medal for the women's side, right? Sure. We got a surprise bronze medal. Okay. But what did that do to the rest of the staff? What did that do to the other distance runners? They didn't acclimate to the humidity. You telling me now? Here's Molly Seidel right here. She got a surprise bronze medal. You telling me you couldn't have gotten the athletes to come out there 2 weeks in advance, 3 weeks in advance, or something like that? You got your staff stuff there. You wanted Team USA to come in like this. This is what Team USA normally comes in. They look like this. And then they had you looking like this. They had you on a resuscitator. That's what they set you up for. All right, athletes, I will give you this. No matter the stuff that we've been saying this whole time, that's pumping up and hyping up the sport. But we got to look at an honest look. They had Team USA coming in like this, hyping them up on a freaking announcing, hyping them up saying, oh, this person looks like Wonder Woman. This person looks like Superman. All of these people, they're unstoppable, knowing behind the scenes. Well, the announcers are just doing their job, but, roll with me. No one behind the scenes, the staff there set up a lot of their athletes to fail. Sure, Allison Felix still medals. Sure, other athletes can still do that. But I can't absolve some of the blame from what they did here. Now, I'm going to have this picture up just to talk. Here's Lena Irby right here. And we already know what ended up happening with Irby and stuff like that. But that's not what this is talking about. So we got Lena Irby on the screen. Once again, we're not talking about what happened with her messing up the exchange because the staff member set her up. That could just be some conspiracy right there too. We could put that together and say, hey, look, maybe the staff members were trying to knock out Team USA. I don't know, maybe. Because how come it happened only to Team USA and not anybody else? Like, you telling me they told them to go into this spot and then nobody else? I don't know. But who knows? Maybe that was because USA arrived very late. They didn't really get to practice on the track and stuff like that. But why couldn't the staff members send them out 2 weeks in advance, 3 weeks in advance when they had all of the information there, acclimate the body so the jet lag wouldn't happen as much? Because jet lag is going to influence them. Other countries, they brought them into the same time zone. They went to other cities in that same lateral time zone or horizontal, whatever time zone, or get a town or two over because you couldn't enter Tokyo. That is the common sense thing to do. Is with the amount of money that USA track and field be bringing in, they trying to save some money. Now, this is, like I said, this is my speculation. They trying to save some money for what? I don't know. So here's the final thing. They want USA track and field athletes to come back. Oh, before I get into that, here's one thing that I think is just pathetic. This is one thing that I really don't like. You guys know that the livelihood of the athletes are riding on the medals that they can get, right? And so, the Olympics doesn't pay you squat. It's going to come down to the country. So the country is going to give a set amount for the athletes. And I'm putting up the picture of the 4x1 for a reason. Why did the staff come out so late? Like, this is some selfish thinking at least. If it's not to save money, which it most likely was, in my opinion, like I said, speculation. Now, at the very least, it's a little bit selfish, disorganized, something that they couldn't let these athletes or put them together and say, yo, we need y'all 2 weeks in advance before you come here. Even though we're going to come last minute, you're going to have some jet lag in here and whatever. And everybody's body is going to take jet lag a little bit different. That's why it's hard to quantify. Some people broke the old world record like what happened in the 400 hurdles. Could he have won is actually a better question. Had he not had a little bit of getting there late and maybe some jet lag from that? I don't know. That's the big question. But here, how come y'all set them up so bad that some of these newer athletes, yeah, maybe they got some sponsorships. Maybe they would have got a bigger sponsorship getting a gold, a silver, or a bronze at the Olympics. Have you staff members thought of that? You really setting up and destroying the sport when you do some stuff like this. This is the Olympics, and while there were nobody there, when it comes to sponsorships and stuff, yeah, you could get a medal at the World Championships, but in a lot of people's eyes, because there are more people watching, they're looking, hey, Olympics is a big deal, so we're going to put the preference there. Me personally, I would rather us see the World Championships is higher, but I know how the numbers go, right? How y'all put that together, and these athletes don't be making a lot of money. The Olympics don't pay them, and so they depending on the money that could have came by here from them getting this relay gold, or from them getting an individual medal, or for them doing anything. You set up and just shove the middle finger in the face of all the USA athletes. And I know after saying this stuff, Bikey, Luma, look, well, Bikey ain't giving me no sponsorship or something like that. They ain't gonna contact me. Like, sir, Head and Shoulders ATR, we would like to work with you, man. I'm sure some of them are watching this channel and see what I say, because it's not that many track and field channels. And so, with that being said, how y'all gonna throw a middle finger to these athletes? They working hard, blood, sweat, and tears. Now you're going to send some of them back where they got to work a full-time job. Whereas in this one, their whole life could have changed. Their whole life could have changed, where they could have got a decent sponsorship where they don't have to work that job. You know what that does? If they get that sponsorship, you know what? Now they can consistently do well. You know why? Barring injury, they don't have to worry about going to that job. Now they can do what? Sit on their butt and rest, recover, instead of being on their feet doing that job, or sitting at the desk using brain and blood and oxygen to click those buttons and whatever. Now they can relax a bit and they can do some things, right? But now you're now making them dependent upon the job. How selfish for whoever decided to do that. How selfish. Now, you made them dependent upon the job. So therefore, there are less eyes here because they're not performing as consistently. That's about it. Now we got these athletes. They did very well in the 4x4. What if y'all got there earlier? Do you think Allison Felix could have done a little bit better as far as their open 4? Do you think McLaughlin and Muhammad could have ran a little bit even faster? Do you think they could have broke the world record in the women's 4x4? What about the men's? Because they were just as close, or if not closer. Could we have broken the world record in that? Who knows? Because they just decided to get out there at the last minute. There's so many different things. And breaking the world record, obviously, they all got their individual goals at some point at different levels, and relay goals definitely for all of them. But come on now. Could they have done better? In my opinion, yes. They could have done better. They could have been had a little bit more in the tank for all of them. So what I got to say with this is, look, at the end of the day, USA was set up to fail. Somebody decided they wanted to set up and fail. And let me bring this back here. The comeback story, the final thing. You know what? What happens if the USA's team did so bad, and then they came back in Oregon, and then they destroyed the rest of the world? Like, right, they destroyed, relatively speaking, as in normal performance, right? They do really well. They come back, and they're like, hey, we got this. We got the world on our shoulders. Richardson, maybe she wins the 100. Let's just say it. Let's just throw it out. I know some people already, they're clutching the pearls right now. They don't even want to say it. It's a chance that she could win the 100. Now, calm down now, okay? Actually, stay emotional, because it helps the sport. You stay emotional, you go out there and complain and say, oh, no, she will never beat Elaine Thompson-Herro. She will never beat Brianna Williams, Sharika Jackson, or Shelly Ann Fraser-Price on her final championship. She will never do it. Well, it's not likely that she would. looking at the numbers now, but there's a chance. So let's just say, imagine, let's go in the imaginary world, right, for a second. We get America with the win in the 100. We get the USA with the win in the 200. I don't know if that's likely, but hey, let's give the win in the 200. Maybe they get second. Maybe they win in the 4x1. This is the women's side. The men's side, 100 win, 200 win, 4x1. If they could get the baton around, which they should, it's in the US now. If they mess up the baton next year, oh my goodness, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I don't have any faith in them. It's a complete setup. If they mess up in the United States and they don't have any excuse about, oh, we're traveling here, then they're going to say, well, we only had 2 days to practice this because they didn't get them together and coordinate. What if the U.S. just started dominating all the other events? Well, this is a great story for Bikey because they're the big sponsors for Team USA. They're the big sponsors for a lot of the huge athletes. A lot of their athletes didn't perform, even out of the USA trials. You know that? Richardson is a Bikey athlete. Is Donovan Brazier a Bikey athlete? I believe he is. He could be Laditas, but who knows? But anyway, I know that Richardson is a Bikey athlete. And why is it that the USA team was not prepared this year? That's all I got to say. What do you guys think about that? I'm almost at the end. You know how much money you can make with a comeback story? Remember how I said earlier in this video, I started off with, they put a lot of pressure, a lot of other countries, except for the UK. The UK is just so Puritan when it comes to track and field. They'll just freaking slander you down to the dirt. You'll be like subhuman at some levels at an area. Like literally, their media will destroy you to that point where you're subhuman because you used a performance enhancing drug to get ahead. All right, like, dude, like chill out. That doesn't mean anything about the rest of that person's life. They're in an area here where they're like, hey, I want to get ahead. We ain't getting paid that much money. I want to make money. I want to do this. I need to do this. And so therefore, I'm trying to do everything I can. They're not subhuman because they use the performance enhancing drug. Okay, chill out. Even the people in the comment section. Now, with that being said, why is it that a huge nation is failing now? Well, what happens when you start running advertisements, and how much you want to bet this is what the ads are going to be? They're going to do something about failure. It's nothing that should stop you. With dramatic music, failure should never be able to stop you. And then they'll show some push-ups. They'll show them lifting weights at some scene. Maybe they'll have some swimmers coming up in the background and a runner. Then you got a close-up of their eye, and then they'll say, but I didn't let that failure stop me. And then like the pause, slight pause after they do that. And then they'll come in, and then there's something about that. And then it'll like, boom. And then they'll have the slogan and then the logo or whatever for the shoe company that we talking about. And then they'll say that. And then they perform. That's the hype that they can build up. Because the USA is a huge money nation. So at the end of the day, you build that up. You say, hey, last year they did that. Hey, this year we're focused. We're coming back and we're going to destroy and dominate. That's the narrative that can be leading into USA's hosting at Oregon 2022. What do you guys think about that one? And that's what I think is part of it. They're set up for failure for this, which unfortunately some athletes are just going to have to fall by the wayside, right? That's how it is. Some of the athletes fell by the wayside in between. They just got pushed up under the rug for other athletes to come back and to do well. So that's all I got to say. In my opinion, they got set up for failure, and those are all the reasons. Do you guys think there are other reasons that the USA could have gotten set up for failure? Because this is just looking pretty sad. And I can't blame the athletes for all of this stuff. I cannot blame these athletes because they put out their blood, sweat, and tears, and they came through to the point where even Rai Benjamin, he was surprised that he got the second. He was over there in tears. That's a mark of a competitor. Shelly Ann Fraser-Price was angry. Now she's not American though, but I'm just trying to equate that. She was angry that she got a second. It's like, hey, if I ain't getting first, I ain't got nothing. Now, later on you can kind of look at it, but in that moment it's like, if I ain't getting first, I ain't got nothing. What the heck is going on? What more could I have done? That's what Benjamin was thinking. Well, one thing he could have done is the USA could have got you there faster. They could have got you acclimated. Now, maybe individual athletes, I don't know about him. I know maybe individual athletes might have got there a little bit early. They were prepared, their staff members or something like that. But I know for as far as the whole of Team USA, the main portion and everything like that, didn't get there to basically the last minute. That's not acclimating to the heat and humidity. That's not acclimating to the time zone or anything. Sure, I would have been, if I couldn't afford it, I would have got as close as possible. I would have gone to Florida, Houston, right? Got used to the heat and humidity in those areas, and then made sure I had myself sleep and try to get in that time zone and sleep during that point and eat as if I'm already in Tokyo. That's what I would have done personally. I don't know how many athletes did that, but hey, they really like shoved them up and gave them a middle finger. Peace, and I'll talk to you all on the next one.